Genesis 3 records humanity's awakening to guilt, fear, and self effort after believing a distorted view of God. The chapter is not merely about the introduction of sin into the world, but about the tragic exchange of trust for suspicion, rest for striving, and life for the knowledge of separation. Yet, even in the middle of judgment, the entire chapter points forward to restoration already secured in Christ and ultimately revealed in the passing of the Old Covenant world. The serpent begins by questioning God's goodness rather than openly denying his existence. Has God indeed said? Becomes the foundation of deception. The temptation was not simply eating forbidden fruit, it was the suggestion that humanity lacked something God was withholding. Adam and Eve were already made in God's image, already accepted, already blessed, yet they were tempted to pursue through effort what they already possessed by gift. Eve saw the tree as desirable for wisdom, revealing humanity's tendency to seek identity and fullness apart from trusting God. Adam participated knowingly, and together they entered into the consciousness of shame. Their eyes were opened, but not into enlightenment. Instead, they became aware of nakedness and vulnerability. Humanity's first response to guilt was self-covering. Fig leaves became the first symbol of religious striving, humanity attempting to hide its condition through its own works. When God walked in the garden asking, "Where are you?" he was not seeking information, but exposing humanity's lost condition. Adam hid because fear entered where fellowship once existed. Fear always follows the belief that God is against humanity rather than for humanity. Adam blamed Eve, and Eve blamed the serpent. Sin fractured relationships immediately. Alienation from God produced alienation from one another. Humanity became trapped in accusation and defensiveness. The judgments spoken in the chapter reveal the consequences of separation from divine life. The serpent's curse pointed to ultimate defeat. The promise that the seed of the woman would crush the serpent's head became the first announcement of redemption. Though the serpent would bruise the heel of the seed, the serpent itself would ultimately be destroyed. This finds fulfillment in Christ, who entered humanity's death and triumphed over the power of sin, accusation, and death itself. The curse upon the ground represents the frustration and futility humanity experiences apart from resting in God's provision. Labor became toil because humanity attempted to live independently from divine life. The sweat of Adam's brow reflects the exhausting burden of self-effort that dominated the old age. The statement, "Dust you are, and to dust you shall return," speaks not merely of physical mortality, but of humanity living in Adamic corruption. Adam became the head of a dying humanity. Yet Christ became the head of a new humanity, defined not by condemnation, but by righteousness and life. Even in judgment, grace appears. God clothed Adam and Eve with garments of skin. Humanity's inadequate fig leaves were replaced by a covering provided by God Himself. This foreshadows the complete covering accomplished through Christ. Humanity could never heal its own shame through effort, law, or sacrifice. God Himself provided the covering. The expulsion from Eden also carried mercy within it. Humanity was prevented from eating from the tree of life while trapped in corruption. The way to life would not come through Adam's fallen condition, but through a new creation. The cherubim and flaming sword guarding the way to the tree of life symbolize the barrier between humanity and direct access to God under the old covenant system. Throughout Israel's history, this separation remained visible in temple imagery, veils, sacrifices, and priesthoods. Yet the work of Christ removed that barrier entirely. The destruction of Jerusalem and the temple in AD 70 marked the visible end of the old covenant world. The system built around separation, sacrifice, and external access to God passed away. The flaming sword of exclusion gave way to open access through Christ. Humanity no longer approaches God through temple rituals, earthly priesthoods, or covenantal distance. The old age of Adam reached its conclusion, and the new creation reality stands revealed. Genesis 3, therefore, is not merely a story of failure. It is the beginning of the story of redemption. Adam brought humanity into fear, shame, and toil, but Christ revealed humanity's restoration into union, righteousness, and rest. The chapter begins with hiding, but the larger biblical story ends with humanity fully reconciled and dwelling openly in the presence of God.